Call to order the meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission for the City of Apache Junction. The date is Tuesday, July 27th, 2021. The time is now 7 p.m. I invite you to stand with me and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Roll call. Rudy? Or Nick, I guess, sorry.
No, I'm going to do it today.
Oh, okay.
Rudy has the night off.
I'm so used to saying Rudy.
I know. Commissioner Barker.
Here.
Commissioner Begeman.
Here.
Commissioner Cantwell.
Here.
Vice Chair Hansey.
Here.
Chair Heck.
Here.
Commissioner Cross.
Here.
Commissioner Gage.
Here.
You have a quorum,
Very
Mr.
good.
Chair.
Very nice job, Larry. Thank you.
I learned from Rudy for 7 years now.
All right, next item on the agenda is consideration of approval for this evening's agenda and consideration of approval for the minutes of the June 22nd, 2021, and the July 13th, 2021 regular meetings. Do I hear a motion to accept the agenda and the minutes?
Your Honor,
Yes,
I
Commissioner Barker.
move that the Planning and Zoning Commission accept the agendas as presented and approve the minutes of the June 22nd, 2021 and July 13th, 2021 regular meetings.
Very good, thank you. I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I hear a second. Roll call. Larry?
Commissioner Gage.
Yes.
Commissioner Barker.
Yes.
Commissioner Begeman.
Yes.
Commissioner Cantwell.
Yes.
Vice Chair Hansey.
Yes.
Chair Heck.
Yes?
Commissioner Cross.
Yes.
Motion is approved, Mr. Chair.
Very good, thank you. All right, there are two public hearings scheduled for this evening. The first public hearing is case AM-4-20. It's a presentation, discussion, public hearing, and consideration of case AM-4-20, proposed changes to the Apache Junction City Code, Volume 2 Land Development Code, relating to cargo containers and accessory structures. This is a new item, obviously.
Okay, I think we're gonna not do the slideshow. I didn't change anything from the last time. So what I wanted to do was, where are my documents? And
Can we get a little background on this?
You want his?
what happened to the, oh, it's up there. There we go. All right.
I'll recite.
I'm just going to go through this real quick because I made a couple changes based on the last meeting. Again, I'm going to go through this hopefully quickly. So we know what an accessory structure is, right? Anything over 120 is going to be regulated. You need a permit for anything over 120, except the shade structure that was included in the zoning code amendments to allow horse shades. So that does not need a permit. And then has to meet all the other criteria of the code. You have to anchor these things now. Got to meet all your setbacks. Minimum distance, again, 6 feet. We always require 6 feet from another structure, 10 feet from a septic tank. So that we kind of codified. And then this is new. We never really had any setbacks from any washes. So when we're working with someone on a new house, they can set it right next to the wash. So we cajole them into moving it back 15 feet, and they do, so we're going to do the same here. This provision, again, right now it says you can't really do more than the lot covered. So anything, there's still no limit, really. There is and there isn't. If you don't need a permit, you still have to meet setbacks. If you don't need a permit, you still have to meet the lot coverage. You can't just have your whole backyard full of 119 square foot. So basically we're using this percentage of 15% of the main structure's building envelope or the already approved lot coverage ratio that's in the code, so we're really not changing that. We're allowing, question came up today about whether on a cargo container, shipping container, you could put solar on there. I don't see why we wouldn't allow solar if they want to put it on there. So I don't think, we're saying now that you can have plumbing and water if you have appropriate permits. You can't really do bathing or cooking. It becomes a house. So you can do anything in there other than cooking and bathing. Again, we've had questions in the past about temporary use, moving containers in the front yard. Yes, you can have them. Emergency for, a fire at your house, you can have them for 60 days. And then this is the whole Quonset hut regulation that's already there. The reason everything's yellow is some stuff is new and some stuff we're just moving it from another place that makes it new. Skip over that. Basically, we had a discussion at the last time. Every accessory structure has to have a paint color, and it's going to be earth tone. And then, or it could be sided and painted, but if it's metal, because it's in the RSGR, it still has to be painted earth tone. And then there was a item that was discussed at the last meeting that you can't have this shiny metal roof, so even your roof has to be earth tone. So that's that change I think you talked about at 2 meetings ago. Then essentially what this says is if you're in the RSGR, you can have a metal building. If you're in any other zoning code, you have to have, rather than the 75%, this is a big change, we're going with 100%. It's just impractical for somebody to design a building and have 1/4 of it not be the same type of exterior material as everything else. So this is new, this 100%. Basically, this next one is for businesses, although we have another section later on. This one says that you can have your shipping container, but if you build an accessory building that's part of your business, it has to meet our design standards. So we go round and round with people that do industrial buildings, and our code says, well, you can't just build metal buildings in the city, but then can they build their wash for their vehicles, can that be metal? And we say no, and they fight us all the time. So we just want to make sure that the main building in the city and an accessory building for a business has to meet our design standards. That's really what that reinforces, if you will. So this basically goes back to that idea. I'm trying to, when we update the rest of the code, we have a lot of these, I call them cottage industries, where folks are doing a lot of stuff out of their house that they shouldn't, and we get a lot of complaints about a home occupation that really isn't a home occupation. So I want to make sure that you can't do commercial activities. And the state law is pretty liberal on that, but I think we're kind of saying you can't do light industrial in your residential zoning district. This gets back to, I think, Commissioner Cross, we tried to look at that section where we had the different size height of walls and tried to simplify it, that basically says if you're RS54 or 54M, you can go up to 5,000 square feet, but anything bigger than 2,000, you have to meet the main building setbacks, which is essentially what that other language said. So we tried to take all that convoluted type language about an 8-foot wall, a 10-foot wall, a 12-foot wall. If it's over 8, I think you had to meet certain setbacks. This, I think, basically says if it's over 2,000 square feet, you got to meet the main building setbacks. Okay. That's what that does. We get this a lot, is how big can my accessory structure be? We're saying that it's limited to the habitable floor area of the main structure's first floor, and the cumulative square footage of all accessory structures shall not exceed the lot coverage. So in other words, if you got a 2,000 square foot house, you could have a 1,000 square foot accessory structure. So a lot of times we'll have people coming in and have an accessory structure that's twice or larger than their main house. So that's that. This is another change that you folks wanted. We have a lot of requests, and I think we're trying to narrow this down, where folks try to build a garage and then we got to fight with them to get their house built. So basically said, if you really want to build a house and you want to store your tools, go bring in a cargo container as a temporary cargo container. You can make it permanent later if you want, depending on your size of your lot. But, and it's like we already allow people to live in an RV while they're building their house. This kind of does the same thing, but we get away from people building their garage and then they'll put a shower and a toilet in there, and then we're fighting with them to build the house. Let's see, overseas. So again, we're back to, you can have, essentially what this says, if you live in the city other than an HOA, you can pretty much have a cargo container. And if you're on a RSGR, you can have the overseas shipping container, that's the 40-footer. We have allowed 220s to be welded. I think we would still honor that. If you're anything else, then you, the 160 is for smaller lots. So basically, if you're in the RSGR, again, they can be metal, but you only get one. But if you have, we have a lot of those half-acre lots I've talked about in the past with the council. We have some RSGR that was illegally subdivided or subdivided before the city was a city, or how those lots were created. We have lots that are half-acre lots that are RSGR. They still get the big one because we did it based on zoning, not on the lot size, because that became problematic.
But they would still have to meet the setbacks and everything.
Still got to meet the setback, screening requirements, and everything else. So then what this one says, I think I cleaned it up, essentially is if you can see the bottom 6 feet of the cargo container, you have to screen it with vegetation. If you have a fence, a wall behind your house, nobody can see it, then we're not going to make you do the vegetation. Businesses, I think we cleaned up this language. Essentially, you can have 10 up to 120 days. So again, a cargo container, an accessory structure, you can have them. They have to meet the architecture of the building. But if it ends up being a temporary storage building, they have to meet the setbacks. They're supposed to be hidden from view. And then we added this at your last meeting. And then again, we're taking the definition that's currently in Chapter 9, and we're going to move it into here. We're going to delete. So we'll have to come to the council with 2 ordinances. One is to repeal the portion of the property maintenance code that has cargo containers in it. That'll go away. And then we'll have another zoning code amendment that changes this section plus adds that definition. So we got to put this in ordinance format if you're, once the public finishes speaking tonight. So, next is the, I'll go up here, staff report. So I left you with 2 motions. One, the first one I like the best,
Yeah.
because it goes back to your motion from
Last year.
last year.
Yes.
So you still have that option of just saying, we like it the way it is. The do-nothing option or and then we have the other one. So any questions?
Yep. Larry, I have a question. So I'm a little troubled by the language you said up above the motion about having difficulty really managing or enforcing this. So it's like we can go through all this stuff, come up with all these requirements and change the codes, and yet if it can't be enforced, I feel like we're
Well, what it is I changed it, I guesstimated that 80% of the permits are after-the-fact permits.
yeah.
You know, it's closer to 90, 95. So I was driving through an area the other day that we're having a meeting on tomorrow at 5:15, and I drive through this alley, and there, lo and behold, it's in a regular neighborhood that has a cargo container. So we're now seeing at least 3 in regular neighborhoods that have unpainted cargo containers. So I'm just saying, it's kind of like what we do now. If you're in an HOA, we don't spend a lot of time there. We don't spend a lot of time in the mobile home park. So the rest of the time, we're out and about. We do stuff for HOAs if they call us, but we're not the HOA. We're not the city HOA, just because we're the code compliance department, so people kind of call us that. But yes, I have a concern that we're already have, I think I explained this when I did the tour with the mayor. We were showing him 12 that we had found. During the tour, we found like another 20 more that were unpermitted cargo containers, and many with multiple. So we also are finding, we're having some issues down on South 36th Avenue where it's these little pockets of RSGR surrounded by things. I could pull it up on Google, but where people are renting houses and then they're running businesses out of them. We have somebody, it looks like a cable company or data company or something renting a house. So maybe they're doing what do you call it?
Mining.
Dodgy, what's it called? Doggy?
Coin or something?
Yeah, Bitcoin. Maybe they are. I don't know. But Anyway, so we run into a lot of those. We're out looking at something else and we see a block wall. There is no gate on this one house down there, and there's 2 or 3 cargo containers in there. And they're basically running a business in the RSGR. So in my opinion, the RSGR and these huge buildings invite people to run businesses out of them. If that's what we want as a community, that's what we get. Cargo containers kind of does that the same. They'll have all their inventory, whatever. So we think of them as just for the horse community, but there's so much more. I think we found one a couple years ago, 3 years ago. It was buried under the carport.
Yeah, I remember.
And it's right over here on Superstition, and in the garage. We don't know it's there, so I guess it doesn't need a permit. We go in the garage, and I think the guy bought the house that way, and he said, "Hey, look at this, cool! I got this cargo container underneath my," and it was kind of scary when you think about it.
It's a fallout
I don't know.
shelter.
They had air conditioning. They had one little hose in there, but it's probably going to end up on one of the upper channels in a crime thing or something. I don't know. So,
But that's really.
yes, again, this is what we're saying, and then Joel cautions me about talking about stuff that you might be talking about future, but we have a similar thing coming up because of another code case on carports. Now everybody wants a carport in the front yard. So I filled in my garage, I've filled in my carport, and now I have no place to park my car. Sound familiar to some people? And now they want to have a metal structure in their front yard, or a hoop, or a PVC structure. So we'll be coming back now. That'll be going to the council. Someone's going to say, hey, what's wrong with having, so we're going to say, we think it has to meet some sort of architecture. It ought to match the house. If we don't allow metal fences, corrugated metal fences, why would we allow a metal structure? We don't allow them in the backyard. Why would we allow them in the front yard? So, I don't know. It's like,
But doesn't that really come down to being an enforcement issue?
this is an enforcement issue.
Yeah.
I'm saying this is what we're doing.
I know.
So everybody's going to get a cargo container, then every permit we do right now is pretty much after the fact. So now we open it citywide. We're already probably 2 or 3 that are cargo containers are showing up on these small lots. And now we're going to go after, well, we already are going after them, but now they'll be allowed to do it, the smaller size, and they're going to have to get a permit. And they're going to have to be painted. And they're going to have T111 siding or stucco. They have to stucco their cargo container. So the way this reads, you have to stucco your cargo container. So,
But as far as the unpermitted cargo containers, that becomes, an enforcement issue. It's kind of like, yeah, we have a 65-mile-an-hour speed limit on 60.
I guess the chair's concern
do
was,
that-
right now, every permit is enforcement issue. Every one we issue is enforcement. Now we're just going to increase that number.
Open that door, I don't know,
The way I see it, people are gonna do it whether it's legal or not. If they want one bad enough, they put them in, and they'll get caught or not.
So
At least
just
now we
make
make it to where there's an avenue for them to do it legally.
We could put up an 80-mile-an-hour speed limit too, because they're passing me like I'm sitting still.
So I guess the issue is we can double fee people. So if you do it the right way, the fee is a one-time fee of, I think, 100. So now maybe we just do the one-time fee is for 200, which is, for some of these, it's, I don't know what portion of the cargo container cost that is, but
Well, what if
right
you-
now,
what-
right now, if we catch you, we just charge you the $100.
Yeah, so in other words, double or triple the fee if you don't do it legally and you're caught.
Yeah. We could just
So you-
decide that's our
you
policy.
pay the fee plus a fine for doing it illegally. And we publicly announce this numerous times so that the public is aware that, hey, if you have a cargo container, get your butt down to the city and get a permit. Before
Well,
you
they're
get
gonna,
caught.
when they come to get the permit, we're gonna have to, I'm telling you, again, what, the council may not like this wording that says every cargo container that's not RSGR has to have siding. We'll see if that stays, but if our direction was treat these as if it's an accessory building. So today, in those other zonings, anything over 120 square feet has to have some sort of siding.
Another question, when you're talking about shade structures, that would also apply to something like a ramada or a pergola in your backyard, in a residential?
Yes, if it's over 200 square feet, you need a permit. Today, right now, it's 120.
But I mean, if you put up a 180 square foot ramada in your backyard, that would be a shade structure rather than an accessory building.
Correct, because there's no sides, it's open.
Right.
And we would not require a permit because it's under 200.
Right.
Larry,
Yes.
years ago, under the original ordinance, we had 2 containers in the city that were grandfathered and not subject to regulation. I don't see those as being still in here.
Well, because all these changes wipe out that. They're now allowed, so there's no reason to keep that.
With this.
Okay.
About 3 ordinances ago, I think it became moot
Yeah.
that they were in there, yeah. One of them went away, I think,
One's
and then
gone.
about 70 more showed up.
Yep. Yep, it was kind of like a rabbit back there, you
Yeah.
know? Just,
So, yes, that just became moot to have that language in there.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think we were going to have a council work session on, depending on what you do tonight, August 3rd, is it, or 2nd? I get my Mondays and Tuesdays mixed up in.
third,
So essentially, next
next,
Monday night. Well, Monday night, we're having the work session. Yeah, so depending on what you do, what I would do is essentially, I'm not going to do a lot. I'm going to give them the PowerPoint. I'm going to show them the ordinance. We'll get all that tomorrow morning in the packet, and then I'll walk through just as I did here.
Okay, all right, thank
So-
you. Well, this.
Anybody want to make a motion for
Wait, this is
option
the
1?
public-
For
this is a
option,
public-
public hearing.
This is a public hearing, so I'm going to,
Yeah, I got one question. In Section A, line number 12,
Section A, 12, the
A.
conflicting thing?
back.
yeah, the last line there, should that "the section" be "this section"? It's a little ambiguous
There is a
when I
conflict
read
with
it.
the standards of this section and the this ordinance, the standards of this, yes, that's correct.
Okay, good.
Good catch. Correct, Joel? Standards of this
Keep
section?
going.
Well, this would be cleaned up on things like that in an ordinance, so. but
Well, yeah,
that's
Joel
a good catch.
proofreads the ordinance, yeah.
That's a
well,
good catch.
Yeah.
okay, so again, I will offer up if there's anyone that wants to comment on this public hearing. You have an opportunity.
Come on, Ronnie, give
All
us
right,
your 2
hearing-
cents.
I'm hearing none, then I'll open up the opportunity for any final discussion with the commission. So anybody have any final thoughts before we seek a motion?
I think we've beat this horse.
Yeah,
I'm not in favor of option 1.
I'm just going to highlight it, the preferred option.
because actually,
Well, you know,
I
I
am
think
in
you
favor
could make a
of
lot of money off of this there.
That's not our role here, seriously, but it is what we do.
I think if we go with option 1, we're just going to continue to be doing the same thing we are, chasing people with.
Continue it anyway.
But I,
Yeah, with-
option
with-
2,
with-
we're just going to expand the chase to multiple times what we're
But
doing now.
with option 2, we're giving them the option of being legal on their own.
Yeah.
What they do after that is their business.
Right,
Actually, it won't
Yeah.
be.
well, I don't,
The speed limit on the freeway is 65, but nobody ever does it. But if you get caught, you know,
I agree.
well, the same with option 1, it's even more restrictive. So it limits truly how many people can really put cargo containers on here. I guess I'm going back to that original, I think this is going to get out of control extraordinarily quickly, so. But anyway, well, I guess, do I have a motion on this, on case AM-4-20?
Chair,
Yes,
I'd like to make a motion.
please.
I move that the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend to the City Council that Chapter 1, Zoning Ordinance, Article 1 through 6, Supplemental Regulations, Section 168, cargo containers be repealed and that the proposed amendments to sections 165 accessory structures as presented by staff be approved.
Second.
We're going to have a motion, I have a second. All right, roll call. Larry?
Commissioner Cross,
Yes.
Commissioner Gage,
Yes.
Commissioner Barker,
I just want to say I have lived this saga since 1988. I've watched it come and go, and I share the concerns of staff. No.
Commissioner Begeman,
Yes.
Commissioner Cantwell,
Yes.
Vice Chair Hanchey,
Yes.
Chair Heck.
No.
Motion passes 5-2, Mr. Chair.
Very good, thank you. Okay, the next public hearing is case AM-1-21. And that's presentation, discussion, public hearing, and consideration of proposed change to the Apache Junction City Code, zoning bulk and use regulations, and non-residential use regulations. And
Whoop.
Nick?
Sorry, Nick.
Good evening, Commission. So I haven't necessarily changed much of my presentation, but just as a brief overview for the benefit of the public or anyone watching, I guess, from afar. It has been, I am grateful for your participation in this process as we're looking through. So this is, again, the amendments to the zoning bulk and use regulations. So as we met before, both on June 22nd and a couple weeks ago, July 13th, we were looking through the proposed amendments to the non-residential use regulations. We had a lot of preliminary discussions as we went through just about the entire table, going through the uses and discussing, what is most appropriate for our non-residential or the commercial zoning districts. I mean, you have our downtown city core, and that was one of the big focuses of this, as well as what is considered industrial and light industrial. And so, as you all know, we spent quite a bit of time discussing that, and I think that this was really productive. So again, a lot of these changes, the main focus and the main drive, what instigated this on a city council level was the idea to revise the downtown B3 zoning district to support a vibrant downtown. And by bringing in these, we've really narrowed it down and focused on the kind of entertainment uses, the things that bring people in, retail uses that bring people in, restaurants, mixed use, the kinds of things that will really create an engaging core. So moving away from like industrial or warehousing uses, things that we didn't feel appropriate downtown, and we workshopped that. Same thing, we looked at the industrial. Together, we really worked on this code to get rid of some of the vagueness, or as well as the redundancies. There was a lot of issues that kind of just was the way it was structured based on codes that we weren't using. So we spent the time working on that. Moving forward, I should amend the August 2nd is the Monday night. I had the Tuesday night of the city council meeting. But we will be going over the city council with this, just as we had with you. We want to make sure that everyone's aware. The public, if they're interested, these tables are available online by looking through these meetings and the attachments and everything and what we have posted on the city websites. And just as this is a public hearing tonight, the final public hearing before the city council will be August 17th. So I don't know if you necessarily have any questions, but we'd be happy to go through or talk about anything that you would like to tonight.
Commissioners have any questions, comments, anything?
We incorporated the discussion that we talked about last week. Those items were incorporated into this table again. Yeah. So,
Mr. Chair, I have one thank you. Thank you, Larry. Very, very much. No, I mean all of you. I meant that as inclusive. This is something that I've wanted to see done for the past year, and I am just delighted at the results, and I know it was hard work, and I certainly appreciate it, and I believe that people who live in this city in the future will appreciate how their downtown area will eventually be. So thank you.
thank you.
I will kind of second that. I think this has been a good process, but in taking a look at the map, we probably want to take the Fry's property out of B3, since that really isn't fitting what we're doing now.
It's already there.
It's in B3, yeah. But that's,
I think it
Esoteric.
belongs there.
Okay.
Grocery store, restaurant.
I guess I can express this week, this is a bit of a tangent, but incorporating it into this discussion, just a regular planner call where I was talking to someone who was interested in moving in. And it was impressive because this prospective new member of our community went through our general plan, and she was really excited about these things that Apache Junction has planned for, both on, I mean, the Planning and Zoning Commission was a big part of planning with the general plan, same thing for the City Council. And so to hear that, I mean, it really is, this was inspired by the general plan and the ideas of the general plan to move forward and to help our city kind of take its next steps forward. And to hear that even prospective members of our community, people who are interested in moving in, are reading this plan and are excited about it, was really encouraging. And I'll just kind of bring that up. Again, this is what we're looking at.
We got to
I
get that
wanna-
person to the CLI quickly.
But I would like to thank you for your efforts in this too.
They read that whole general plan, God bless them. That's-
Possibly an award-winning plan, who knows?
Yeah, right.
Honorable mention at least.
Yeah. But I want to say that Nick and Sydney spent a lot of time going through our current code because we're getting ready to do this big update. They spent a lot of Fridays working on that. And then kind of rekindled it here recently with Rudy and and Kelsey. Everybody really was involved in updating this, so appreciate your efforts too.
Good. Thank you. Okay, well, this is a public hearing, and I will once again offer up to the enormous audience, if they have any comments or anything. Okay, hearing none, then I will open up again to the commission, any final comments, thoughts, before we seek a motion, anything? All right, then, I am looking for a motion on this,
Yeah.
on,
I think you should read
Yeah.
this.
Oh, the
Since
big
it's
one,
so
'cause it's
No, it's so
long.
important to you.
Oh, yeah, thank you, I appreciate it. I move that the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend to the Apache Junction City Council the approval of the text amendment, case AM 121, an amendment to the Apache Junction City Code, Volume 2, Land Development Code, Chapter 1, Zoning Ordinance, Article 1 through 5, Zoning Bulk and Use Regulations, Section 1-5-3, Non-Residential Use Regulations, and Article 1-5-4, Non-Residential Bulk Regulations, described in the attached text exhibits dated July 21st, 2021.
Second.
very good, thank you. Okay, I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, very good, okay. Roll call,
Sure. Chair Heck,
yes,
Commissioner Cross,
Yes.
Commissioner Gage,
Yes.
Commissioner Barker,
Yes.
Commissioner Begeman,
Yes.
Commissioner Cantwell,
Yes.
Vice Chair Hanchey.
Yes.
very good. Okay, motion passes, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, old business, does not appear to be any old business scheduled for this evening, as well as new business. Is there any new, it doesn't appear to be any new business scheduled. Information and reports. The chair has no additional information to report for this evening. Director's report, Larry?
There is, I think the thing's going out, unless it's on the website now, there is going to be another public open house for the state land.
Right.
Joel, I think, can they just go and show up? That's really, I don't know how they're noticing it.
They can show up. I don't think there's a problem with that.
Be a chance meeting if anybody, just
think-
don't talk to each other if you go, I guess.
There's also a walkthrough at Lennar on Friday.
Oh, yeah, so Lennar is offering a walkthrough if anybody, I think it's around 2 o'clock, I can get you the
Yeah,
information.
Over
It's
Old
2
West
o'clock.
Highway?
Is that noticed too, Joel, for everybody, or?
That's a private, well, it's I think it was put out to the council and staff, but more board members may go also. Just don't talk to each other. And then you gotta be in different houses, models of the
Is this
different
the
houses.
Old West Highway?
Yes, the one out at
Yeah.
Goldfield, yeah.
Right.
So you want details on the time
Yes, please.
on
Like-
Lennar?
They
Okay?
are moving rapidly on that subject.
Sure
Yes,
are.
they're-
I haven't been down there in
There
a
are.
long time.
It's at least 50%.
Did
They have
you-
100 permits pulled, more than 100 permits pulled. They only have like 65 left to pull.
Wow.
Did you see the wind damage on the construction
Yeah,
down
it
on
tipped over. I was
Superstition?
wondering if OSHA was called. I asked Dave Zellner, and I didn't hear anything, but
Yeah, it just.
they started fast. They seem to have slowed down a little bit.
Well, the wind just blew that whole section of one of the buildings down.
Yeah.
It
I think it
happened.
actually hit another one and knocked two down, maybe. So the one at the MGC is Wednesday night, the 3rd, August 3rd,
See, 4th,
August 4th,
5 o'clock.
from 5 to about 6:30 is the open house again. If you went to the other ones, I think they're just going to kind of do the same thing, but some folks were interested in having another open house.
When do we start getting that?
Well, the schedule changes. I just updated the schedule today, so we've just pushed everything out 2 weeks because there are certain deadlines we have to put ads in the paper and get stuff to folks to review, to get into agendas and all that. So rather than a July council adoption or September, it now looks like it's the first meeting in October. If they don't kind of get us everything we need, though, by next Friday, then I think they're going to probably end up with a special council meeting, maybe the night of the 12th, which might be this night for this commission, if we don't have anything, so maybe we have to cancel commission and have a special council meeting. We have to, by agreement, have everything done by October 17th. So it could have been the 20th or something, some other date, then it could have gone to the second meeting, the council. There's just a lot of moving pieces. And so there's 2 zonings, there's 2 development agreements, there's a whole bunch of master studies that are, in various stages. There's creation of 2 community facilities districts and 2 development agreements associated with that. So at least for the zoning piece, we're saying if, we're promised to get our document by next Friday, the 6th. So we'll come in on Friday and see if we get one. If not, I don't think we can make the October.
Right.
So what we were intending, I can't get there from here. Oh, yeah, I can. So in this folder, we have a folder for state land, and then we have, trying to remember where this is, this folder here, important dates. So I updated this today. This is what I'm having for working dates. Okay, so essentially, this used to say July 15th, right here. Now it says August 6th. So our intent was to meet with you on August 24th with a work session like, it's a regular meeting, but with a work session, this would probably be the only item on the agenda. We'll have to see what else is going on. And then we have to meet all these deadlines then we would have September 14th is when we would have a public hearing. So we wanted to bring you two packages of this rezoning and spend a good amount of time, whatever you need, on August 24th. Then we would have our business done perhaps on September 14th. The 20th, Monday night, we would have a work session. Probably do a second work session with the council on a Monday with a hopeful adoption on October 5th. So I kind of backed into these dates and when we had to get stuff into our agenda software, when we had to get ads to the clerk to review and sign and to the newspaper. And so it all kind of, in my mind, if we don't get this stuff on this date, then we're having a
just
special
backed
council
up?
meeting. I mean, then what we would end up doing is, I have to pull up a calendar, but yeah, this might be our work session on the 14th or something, you know what I mean? So, August 24th, yeah, so I think the next available meeting for us, unless we had a special meeting, which I don't know that we would need to, but. So they're 3 weeks late already, and we've tried to move everything only 2 weeks, so we have to turn things around quick, so that's what we're looking at.
I mean, Larry, do you feel that they're doing their best to meet these deadlines, or
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just such a huge project. I know that the landscape architect, who's really their planner, zoner guy, I mean, he has been working night and day to create a 300-page document that you saw.
Right.
The second document for the retained property is, I think it's about 100 pages, so it's less, there's less detail. But I think he's doing, you know, he had COVID in the middle of it, and then he took a week off. I mean,
My.
Yeah.
and he supposedly lost several employees who didn't want to work 24 hours a day, so.
Golly
You know.
gee.
I don't know why, what's the
Yeah,
problem?
really.
And then, again, it is complicated, in fairness to everybody, that there's two developers, and they have slightly different philosophies, and what one developer easily agrees to, the other may not, and vice versa, and so I think probably the same goes with the development agreement, and Joel's been working on that furiously. So, we haven't even seen the development agreement for the retained property as of yet. So there's two development agreements. So, and I think during the auction, this thing has to be annexed within 1 year of the auction date, which I think is November 20th or something was the auction, or something like that, 23rd. November 12th, okay. So maybe they should have negotiated 14 months or 18 months for that to happen, but just my sense, if there was one developer, it would have been probably easy to do that. It's just with two developers, there's just a lot more people involved and a lot more, so I think it is.
So if they don't meet that date, it falls through?
I think they would go back perhaps and amend that PPA or whatever it's called. For the October 17th, everything's supposed to be done. So the parties might go back to the council at a special meeting and say, hey, can we move that out to some date and make it the second meeting, make it October 20th or whatever it is, or so. Or they have to go back. I don't think anybody wants to go back to the state and say, hey, we have to unwind something and need an extension of time to have this annexed and everything else, so. I guess we don't think we're holding anything up, but I just think it's so big and so huge that there's, and a lot of players. So now you do a 300-page zoning document, they have 10 to 15 people looking at it from two different developers, all getting back to this one guy. He's got to massage it, get it back. So we gave comments. So we haven't really even had a second round of comments. So we did the MPC, they gave us back, we gave them comments, they've never given us comments. We had some meetings, but we've never even been given back a second submittal of the MPC document. Same thing for and there's two zonings, two development agreements, they're on the same schedule, but they're submitting them, 7 weeks apart, so they're trying to now get them at the last minute, get them on the same schedule, so.
So they never responded to those?
We sat down, no, they drafted comments, we sat down and talked about, we had a meeting just to talk about dark sky. We had a meeting just to talk about low-impact development. We had a meeting, so we had like these targeted meetings, like when you boil it down, there might be 5 or 6 or 7 sticking points, and we would have targeted meetings just on those and try to make sure everybody understood what was going on. In terms of the zoning.
Yep.
Yeah. And again, different philosophies on, so. But I think it's looked good, and the one developer has already submitted a preliminary plat. So we've hired this third-party consultant to go review that, to get started on it, and, but we can't approve it until we actually have it annexed, and nothing really can happen. We can do, I don't know if it's, not courtesy review, it's basically our first review. And we can start giving them comments, but there's no way we could approve any permits or preliminary plats or anything until it's actually annexed to the city.
Okay,
So,
thank you. No, you were.
I don't want to paint that in a bad way, I'm just saying it is a big project and there's just a lot of moving pieces, and I think everybody's given it their all.
Thank you. You were going to give us the dates for the Lennar open house?
This Friday.
Oh, I
I'm just
didn't.
gonna
sorry, I
email you
didn't-
something, though. It's a specific time. It's in the afternoon, like 2 o'clock on,
2 o'clock.
is it?
Yes.
It's 2 o'clock on Friday. I can
Really?
check my calendar on here.
Well, that's a screwy time to have an open house. 2 to 2:12? Like,
Yeah, afternoon in Arizona in the summer.
Yeah, right.
Well, I'm sure the units have air conditioning, so, yes.
It's supposed to rain.
Joel is correct. It's from 2 to 2:12. 2 to 3.
I'll be innocent.
They might have water and an umbrella for you.
Free water.
Yeah, they
Just
do.
open your mouth.
And they have
Still
cookies. They always put cookies in the model home.
Bake them.
In the winter would be cocoa, yeah.
They're waxed.
All right, so I'm not going to send you a reminder. If you want to go, show up.
That's fine.
Show up next Wednesday night if you want, from 5 to 6:30.
Larry, one other question.
Yeah.
There's that land issue with Pinal County out farther east of us. Is it possible maybe to have during a commission meeting to have an explanation of, or a little more detail on that? I don't know all there is to know, and I'd just be curious what the impact could be on, is that something that could be,
You're asking to put that on a future agenda, correct?
Yes,
Yes,
that'd be
you can do
correct.
that.
yes,
It's a really interesting amendment
well, yeah.
with an obvious buyer waiting in the wings.
I know you don't have enough to do, but I thought I'd just,
Call Charlie Goff.
Well, I know
and
there's
get
been a
his
bunch
map.
of meetings, and I think there I saw a meeting with the county to just kind of explain to everybody what the process is, not just here's the process for amending the general plan. Not the merits of the case or anything, but here's how the process works. So I think by October, the county has to do it. So we can get you those dates, I think. I don't know if it's appropriate or inappropriate as citizens to,
Well, we're off the agenda.
oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I will put it on the agenda for next time.
Okay. Thank you.
At our next meeting.
Okay.
All right, sorry.
Thank you. All right, do I hear a motion on the selection of meetings, dates, times, et cetera?
Your Honor.
Yes.
I move that the Planning and Zoning Commission hold a regular meeting on August 10th at 7 p.m. in the City Council chambers located at 300 East Superstition Boulevard. In the event there are no items to be brought forward to the commission, this meeting may be canceled, notification of cancellation properly posted, and the commission notified by staff.
Very good, thank you. I have a motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
Very good, I have a second. Roll call, Larry?
Vice Chair Hanchey.
Yes.
Chair Heck.
Yes.
Commissioner Cross.
Yes.
Commissioner Gage.
Yes.
Commissioner Barker.
Yes?
Commissioner Begeman.
Yes.
Commissioner Cantwell.
Yes.
Unanimously approved, Mr. Chair.
Very good, thank you. Motion is passed, and meeting is adjourned.